Folks, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. I'm your host Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter, and I'm honored to have India's first standalone health insurance provider, Star Health, on Paisa Vaisa. I'm talking with Dr. S. Prakash, Managing Director, Star Health and Allied Insurance, right after this short break. And welcome back. Dr. Prakash, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. Thank you so much, really, for doing this for our listeners.
Very happy to meet you, Anupam.
Great. So, Doctor, tell us about Star Health. It's a very unique company. I believe it was the first standalone provider of health insurance in the country, considering that everybody else is probably associated to a bank or an institution or something, whereas you are actually the first ever standalone health insurance provider. Tell us more about that.
So it was in 2006 when general insurance used to have fire, marine, motor and health. Health used to be a very small portfolio and considered to be a loss-making one. So for the first time, it was Mr. Jagannathan who had a brief experience in sort of 4 to 5 decade experience in public sector. He came in with the concept that why can't there be a standalone company for health insurance? The meaning is health is a service intensive portfolio. So this requires networking of hospitals, creating products which can include diseases, not just covering normal people with disease, and also giving them a specific service, including handling their grievances, so that the customer experience should be 100%. And the wholehearted customer experience can only spread the concept of health insurance in a bigger way. So we thought of that, and that way back in 2006. Star Health Insurance started as the first standalone health insurance company, meaning that we do only health insurance business. We have our own team of doctors who design the insurance product along with the insurance experts and the actuaries who price it at a very, very comfortable, a very affordable price. And apart from that, the servicing of the claims done by doctors. We network with the hospitals, we talk to the concerned specialists, and we tell our customers that Star Health Insurance is one company where we don't just pay your claim. We also look at the authenticity of the treatment. We validate the treatment. What is the diagnosis? What are the lines of management? Is it in accordance with the protocol? And is my customer or policyholder safe in the hands of these hospitals? So this is the value addition and the difference that we created that made us probably a very leading health insurer today.
It is amazing because we've done insurance on Paisa Vaisa for the last 4-5 years. We've had all kinds of guests, all kinds of people, but you're probably the first person who's saying that health insurance is actually a customer service intensive or a customer service experience focused product. Just talk to us more about that. Why is that important? Because let's get your perspective on that.
See, in India, I'm basically a medical doctor. I had my studies from India and from overseas. So what I see between India and overseas, people are medically ignorant. And health insurance as a concept has not grown faster. Hardly 10% of the people have some form of personal insurance on their own or through their employer. So the outer potential is very high. But insurance companies wanted only healthy people to come and take an insurance, only for protection. Whereas as a doctor, when I see patients, when I talk to them, it is those who are diagnosed with some disease, who have an hospitalization for some reason, or who have a very strong family history and they're worried about future hospitalization. They are the people who want to take an health insurance. So what we thought, probably we have to look at insurance for people who are already diagnosed with disease, who are at a threat of disease. Only then insurance can penetrate in a big way. That's customer-centric approach in designing an insurance product. And then customer-centric approach in including a lot of hospitals from Tier 2, Tier 3 to modern metros and not even the tertiary but quaternary level specialty hospitals. Identifying those hospitals, choosing the specialty where the hospital is good, educating our customers and suggesting them to go to the appropriate hospital for their problem. So that is again service intensive. Third, when it comes to payment of claims, again we have to look at the individual scenario, look at the safety of our policyholder, and the payment that we make as a health insurance specialist, it should not be just based on the activity, but it should also be based on the outcome.
Wow.
So how do I look at the outcome? I want to tell my customer that I want to choose the right hospital. I want you to go have treatment, and I want to see whether the hospital maintains a registry, an infection control strategy, and the policies, protocols in that hospital, and the success rate. If you want to go for a knee replacement or a coronary stenting to a hospital, we measure the success rate and we suggest the right specialist and the right hospital. That is where we say that, as we started Star Health Insurance, we really thought we should keep customers front, because that was missing in the general insurance segment.
You're right about that, yeah.
So at that point of time, we thought that why can't we focus in depth on only health and be a standalone health insurer? Then we thought we are only creating a company. But now when we turn back, we see that we have created an industry.
Yeah. You're a doctor. Did you must have had a practice, you must be doing your work. You just woke up one fine day and said, let me start, doing insurance. So how did that work for you? I don't have too many doctors on my show. You're the first one probably who's here. So
see, all changes require a transition. And the transition is usually not very comfortable. See, I have been handpicked by Mr. Jagannathan, who was formerly chairman of public sector, and he started this company. And he saw me as a general surgeon having exposure into all surgical specialties. So he said that, there is a role for a clinician in health insurance, because unless you are a clinician, unless you understand the requirements of the people and the mood and emotional needs of the people, so you cannot really carve a different path. So, I was sort of engaged in way back in 2007 to 2012, the first 5 years, we had the experience to cater to the below poverty line scheme in the 2 states of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh.
Very important.
I can tell you, 12.6 crore people we were covering.
Wow.
The first health insurance company to have 126 million covered, in a matter of 4-5 years with 1,000 hospitals. So the 12.6 crore people through 2-3 different schemes. So that gave us a very big experience. We worked with TCS, we created a strong IT platform, and we were trying to see that how we can eliminate fraud, abuse and leakage, identify quality players, and, detect fraudsters, mitigate fraud. All that, we were able to build. And most important of all, to the doctors. When I joined, there were hardly 3-4 people working in the company. Now we have around 500 medical professionals. So we are trying to tell the medical field that this is another specialty. Health insurance is a specialty. So every doctor in the medical curriculum, when they are house officers, they should be taught about health insurance. Because without health financing, I as a doctor, I worked in Singapore, and there was no restriction for, payment in there, because there is a system. The government and the insurance takes care of the medical expenses. When I come to India, whatever I want to do, affordability is a big question. So be it the expertise and infrastructure, whatever created in India, if this has to reach every common man in our country, health insurance is mandatory.
Yeah, always is. It's a very important topic.
Particularly if you see the middle class families, when they are diagnosed with a major ailment, an accident or a heart attack or a cancer, now we have best of the treatment available in India, but it comes with a cost.
It does.
And if there is a health finance available, we can save a lot of families from being pushed into poverty.
Yeah.
I have visibly seen, as a doctor and as an doctor in the insurance company, I could see that insurance helps a lot of families to to prevent being pushed into poverty.
Yeah, of course. How were the last 2 years, Doc? Because can I call you Doc? I just feel, I don't have to, like I said, I don't get too many doctors on my show. I'm going to call you Doc. How have the last 2 years been, Doc? Because, 2006 to early 2020, there was a separate trajectory going on. And then everything changed. How has the last 2 years been across the board? Claims. Just let's talk about that for a while.
So it's a very right question. The last 2000 years was not that, comfortable or smooth for any health insurance company. Because 2019, December, we heard about pandemic COVID-19. And we had the first wave lockdown from March 15th in 2020. Then the beta wave, delta wave, and Omicron. So we never thought that pandemic will continue for more than 2 years. And a lot of unprecedented things where there is no clear directions for patients who are diagnosed with COVID-19. And there is no clear directions even for the treating doctor. Somebody says you give steroid, Somebody says up to 93% saturation is okay. Somebody gets admitted with 99% saturation and is not leaving the bed. And the incubation period, the duration of stay, usually as insurers, very commonly when there is an epidemic, when there is a monsoon, rainy season, we get a lot of dengue, malaria. Patients get admitted, stay for 2-3 days. Hardly they spend around 30,000, 40,000 on an average. That's it. That's our view on infectious diseases. But when this pandemic came, we saw people staying in the hospital for 7 days to 70 days. Bills of 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. People requiring intensive care management, ventilatory support. So we were only wondering, one fever can cause so much of expenses. And, that was really, something very new, very strange. So we studied the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR guidelines. We looked into All India Institute of Medical Science. They're very good. They're very friendly. They came up with a lot of protocols. Lot of state health authorities, they have issued guidelines. So we wanted to educate our network doctors and hospitals to follow those guidelines. And we were trying to tell our customers when there is a need for admission. A patient out of anxiety, if he goes and gets admitted in a hospital, just because of his anxiety, if he stays there for 7 days or 10 days, then there is no bed available for a deserving person who can really be saved. So we devised a home quarantine. We said that people can be quarantined at home. We have telemedicine services. Our doctors are going to call them, talk to them, do a day-to-day monitoring. And when there is a need, when their situation is critical, there are some parameters based on the fever, pulse rate, oxygen saturation, respiratory rate. So we can give the right guidance to a person who is tested positive when he really needs an admission. When it is not required, what is required is only isolation, hydration and paracetamol. So we give him that confidence. So we were able to create a lot of home quarantine. Our telemedicine services were addressing several thousands of calls. So luckily we had telemedicine in Star, the first insurance company to have a telemedicine with multiple specialty. So we actually introduced it for giving electronic second opinion for our customers. But during the pandemic, it helped a lot to save our customers. So overall, on the claims front, I can say during the pandemic, the numbers during the peak of the pandemic almost became 190 times more.
Wow.
So overall for the whole year, compared to the previous year, we could see that numbers were doubling. So number of claims were increasing in a very big way. And our own employees also were affected with COVID. Their families were diagnosed with COVID. So we have to quarantine them. So with 70 to 75% of the employees, I have to cater 200% of workload. Without any business continuity, we were able to continue our services to our customers. But we did incur a lot of financial outgo.
Sure.
And we have to infuse capital because, health insurance is a regulated market. It comes under Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India.
Yeah.
So we just cannot say no for a genuine claim. And we have to infuse capital. Just because my outgo is increasing, I cannot close my door. I have to infuse capital and continue to service the customers even in a time of hardship.
Yeah.
So that is where, the challenging times of COVID, as you rightly asked us, the 2 years really tested our resilience. But now I could say that we feel we are much stronger.
That's good to know, Doc. Doc, tell me one thing. Given what happened in the last 2 years and how almost, every household in India has probably had some story or the other, how has the penetration of health insurance changed? Have people become more aware? Has it picked up? Are more people taking policies, etc., etc.?
Yeah, you are right, Pramod. During the onset of the beta wave, we could see a lot of acceleration because a lot of awareness on health insurance. We used to have a team of people to call our customers and say, boss, your claim is for renewal in next 30 days, 60 days. We used to call them well in advance and remind them about the renewal. But during the pandemic, they called us. We tell them, oh, you have another 30 days. They said, no, still I want to renew. I want to have my policy renewed. I want to have my sum insured enhanced. See, before, people thought that 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs sum insured is good enough. But during the pandemic, they realized that they should have 5 lakhs minimum. Ideally, for a family, we can afford 10 lakhs sum insured is more appropriate. So, the sum insured and the need for insurance, both these things we could see a lot of positive response among the people. And during the pandemic, I could say that there is a very well accelerated growth in the initial days. But post the pandemic, we are not seeing the same acceleration. people, the memory is short.
Yeah. So we have a long way to go, right? Health insurance penetration is still pretty low in India, right?
Yeah, health insurance penetration is told as the gross written premium as a percentage of GDP. So if you look at international standards, our health insurance premium is much low. And that's why I said that the untapped potential for market is very high. In the next 5 years, with the current regulations, we have a very strong chairman in IRDAI, and he is very keen on insurance penetration in a very big way. So we are very hopeful that, more and more awareness is going to be created among the public. And by 2047, 100 years post-independence, according to our chairman IRDAI, he wishes that every household should have an health insurance in India.
Wow.
And the whole industry is working towards it.
Yeah, let's hope that happens, folks. On that note of hope, we're going to take a small break and we will be right back on this very interesting episode of Paisa Vaisa. And welcome back. Let's talk about really important topic, which is claims, right? Because, how important is it for a health insurance provider such as yourself to provide seamless claims? And from our listeners' perspective, what can they do to make the process more easier for them? Let's talk about that.
See, when it comes to health insurance, claims is a moment of truth, but it has a lot of deep pockets. So people should understand, globally, a 100% satisfied customer with any insurer and a 100% good relation between an insurance company and a hospital is yet to be figured out.
Okay.
So it is not an easy problem. You should understand that. But companies still cannot take any excuses, and they should work towards real, comfort and fulfilling the promises. See, it's not just, a company can stand. Every company like Star Health Insurance, we are built for a legacy. We don't work on a short-term gains. So naturally, every insurance company should focus on a real customer experience by offering an efficient claim service, which requires, number one, a good network of hospitals who understand your language and who have a direct, arrangement on pricing, packages, and standardization of cost and all that. So if an insurance company can achieve that and have hospitals spread across the country in Tier 2, Tier 3 and all metros. So this thing is, that's very important. And second thing is a good technology platform, which can do a seamless service, cashless service, a faster service and all that. And medically qualified people, the people who knows about the policy terms and conditions and also medical knowledge. The combination of all these three things should help a customer to have a good experience. And off late, technology is playing a big role. We are embedding technology in a very big way to enhance customer experience, to give the best of customer experience, a comfort of submitting his claims paper from his home through his mobile app. To that extent, we are updating on our technology and, added together, all these things should create a very, very pleasant claims experience for people. But just a bottom line is they should understand that claim settlement is not as easy as anyone thinks. And people should have a good understanding of what type of product they have. And are they reaching the right hospital? Is that a hospital doing the right charges for them? So many things they should have a good understanding before they give a score to the services of any insurance company.
They should read the policy well. Doc, tell me one thing. You've got, the triangle here. You've got the health insurance provider, you've got the hospital, and then you've got the customer. Now, the customer goes into a hospital in a very different state of mind. And once everything is over and he's filing for his claim, suddenly he faces stuff like inflated bills. A lot of people, me included, we didn't even know at one point of time that the charge of a syringe, the charge of a cotton swab changes from the room that you have. Right? What can change here for the better at an industry level? Right? I'm sure that some progress has already been made, but the customer gets in the middle of this hospital health insurance. Sometimes there's also a TPA also in that. How can things change for the customer to feel better?
See, you are absolutely right. Some of those materials like the gloves, the diapers, the wet wipes, and your syringes, they have a huge trade margin. And that is when hospitals and insurers have to come in terms. And that usually, delays the expectation levels of the customers. So it's like, there are certain areas where an unnecessary investigation is being done. And too many drugs. India, we are used to abusing, for example, antibiotics. It's not only me, it's on different literature. And abuse of antibiotics is creating super bugs. And that is going to be the most dreadful pandemic for the future.
Let's keep the bad news for a little bit later.
So what I'm trying to say, insurance companies have a role in not only deciding on the payment, but also in asking the right question when there is an abuse or a misuse. And when somebody else is paying, naturally, there should be an element of abuse that creeps up. So my only point of emphasis here is insurance companies should identify the quality players, should recognize ethical hospitals. Automatically, those who have an intention to do a fraud will be wiped out.
It's tricky, right? Because health, it's like a hospital is where people are at the most vulnerable, and there also you do fraud. Anyway, Doc, I want you to tell our listeners some unique policies that probably Star Health provides, because I know that there's a lot of stuff that you do that is not, I think some other insurance companies do not do. I think, for example, one is senior citizens healthcare, because that is an area where I've had a lot of queries on Paisa Vaisa in real life. People asking, I have my elderly parents, 60s, 70s, who have comorbidity, obviously, because at that age it's quite common. What do I do? No health insurance company will touch them, right? Because who's going to insure anybody at 65, 70? What can people do out here?
See, we have started something called a senior citizen policy way back in 2007 when we started. And it is since 15 years we have been continuing that policy without any increase in premium. And we have designed that policy in such a way that people above 60 years up to 75 can walk in and buy this product. And that is a time when people look forward to a financial protection. See, one of our prime specialty product is a senior citizen. And very recently, we have introduced a product exclusively for the women. We call it as women's care. Women of reproductive age group, whatever the common conditions they have, if there is an infertility, apart from normal delivery, how to cover for assisted reproduction techniques. And how to cover for a newborn baby from day one. I'll tell you one thing. Any vehicle that comes out of the garage needs an insurance. Without that, you cannot go for a registration. Whereas a baby born in this country, you can go and register without insurance.
Nice comparison.
You can take it to the school, and the school admission also, they don't ask for it. The insurance should be made mandatory at the time of birth registration or at the time of admission to the schools. Sir, of all inequalities, inequality in healthcare is most inhuman. So in India, people should come forward and get all the people insured. The advantage is when more people are insured. Insurance is a game of large numbers. When more people are covered, naturally the premium comes down. So we created a cover where exclusively for women, where we said we are going to cover from day one. When the baby is born, from day one, if the mother and father are insured with us, mother is insured, her baby automatically is covered from day one, whether the child is born normal or with defect. So that is one of the new additions that we have done. We went one step before and said that when the baby is in the womb, if the mother goes for an ultrasound during pregnancy, 12th week and 20th week ultrasound, if it is normal, then we cover.
Wow.
So we are promoting antenatal medicine and antenatal ultrasound. That, that concept of, even if this patient requires an intrauterine surgery just before birth, there are surgeries done within the uterus. Intrauterine surgery done before birth, that is also covered. This means that we are covering from womb to tomb. And in this point of time, I just want to say that everyone who have an insurance, they should know that insurance, although it is an annual contract, lifelong we have to cover. If somebody has an insurance at the age of 50 and is diagnosed with a disease at the age of 52, he is going to live till 72. He has a right to renew his policy, and insurance company have to pay him every year if there is a need. So that is a very important, very positive thing. Once you are an insurance customer, you have the right. So, but you cannot think about insurance cover after somebody is diagnosed with a kidney problem or a heart problem.
That's fair.
So you have to take it when you are essentially normal, and when there is a problem, it covers. That's a routine scenario. But what happens in India? For example, in a hospital where I worked as a surgeon, I found so many bypass surgeries were happening. Out of 10 people, hardly 2 people had insurance cover. The other 8 people, they come to know about it. They are diagnosed with a heart problem. They pay a huge bill. They are returning home. But the person next to them, when they are paying out of insurance, they understand there is something called as insurance which can pay your healthcare expenses, but they have missed it. But can they go and take another insurance now? No, because they have been branded as heart patient. You are a heart patient. You already had a heart problem. So nobody will give you insurance cover.
Correct.
So we want to break that myth. And Star Health Insurance, the first insurance company, we did a lot of research. We sat with the cardiologists, we sat with state-of-the-art centers, we studied how many cath labs, how many interventions are happening, how many bypass surgery. And then we have come up with cardiac care policy, where we say that after a heart attack, after an angiogram, after a stenting or after bypass surgery, if somebody wants to buy an insurance cover, they can come and buy cardiac care.
Wow.
So these are the cover for people already with the heart disease.
So let me just recap that, right? Senior citizen, you have it. Mothers, newborns, you have it. Womb to tomb, as you said. And the third that you just mentioned is a specific cardiac care policies for someone who's actually already had a heart disease or heart incident. Anything beyond that? Diabetes, cancer, anything of that sort?
So we have for diabetes also. So diabetes, we have around 75 million people who are diagnosed with diabetes, another 65 to 70 million who are pre-diabetes, and there is a lot of India is considered to be a capital for diabetes. So naturally, the problem with diabetes and hypertension, they are all diseases which are very silent. Sometimes they don't cause any symptoms. But by the time someone comes to know that they have diabetes or hypertension, they develop end organ damage, target organ damage, meaning that some problem in the brain, stroke, some problem in the eyes, retinopathy, some problem in the heart attack, some problem in the kidney disease, or in the foot ulcers. When they develop a problem, then they understand that they have been having diabetes for some time. So it is a disease where unless there is a problem, it will not give any symptoms. So it is the onus of every individual to check themselves, understand whether they are diabetic or hypertensive, and then take preventive steps to control so that they don't fall victim to a target organ damage. So we studied that, and then we said that for diabetics, whatever may be the type of diabetes, type 1 or type 2, they can take an insurance policy which is going to cover from day one. So most important of all, I can tell you, one thing which is not available with any insurer in this part of the globe is an insurance cover for people diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
See, supposing the very idea started because I could see that a lot of cancer patients are successful survivors. Today in India, with the awareness, cancer is diagnosed at an early stage. And after treatment, they live for 10 years, 15 years or 20 years. But they have been denied of an insurance cover. What if after a cancer treatment, they are survivors? If they develop a heart attack, they develop COVID-19, fever or a fracture, there is no insurance cover. So we have designed an insurance cover where we are telling the cancer patients, there is an insurance cover which is going to take care of all your non-cancer needs. And also, if unfortunately there is a recurrence, if there is a spread of cancer to another area which needs treatment, or there is a second malignancy, all these things are covered in our cancer care product. So the cancer care products takes care of cancer-related future treatment and also non-cancer treatment. But to make your understanding clear, somebody goes to the hospital, is diagnosed with cancer, he cannot come and buy an insurance. For the current treatment, it cannot be given because,
Obviously.
Insurance works on a pooled fund. We collect from many and pay for few. And we pay for the one who is in real need. So if you are paying your insurance premium, maybe for 5 years or 10 years, and you are not claimed, you should not feel that you have wasted your money. Your money is spent for someone who is in need. So that's with that concept, we have come up with a cover for cancer. And we also have introduced a cover for children with autism spectrum disorders.
Wow.
So as I told you, in India, if health insurance has to penetrate in a big way, we should not look at healthy people alone. We have to look at those segments who are diagnosed with the disease, who have a potential need for a hospitalization and expense. We should go and cover. So all-inclusive approach is the only way to enhance insurance penetration in India. That is what we, from Star Health Insurance, started doing it for the last 15 years. Now you could see that we have product for all ages, from a newborn or from the womb to 75+%. For all ages, for all diseases, and for all economic strata. There is always another myth. Insurance is only for the rich. Insurance is only for the people in metros. No, we have created products, micro products, very low value products where people from a village can buy. So insurance for all economic strata. We have policies which are 1 crore, they can go for foreign, electronic second opinion, treatment, etc., etc. That's available at the same time to the needs of a common man. Our only wish is we should be contributing a major part to the chairman IRDA's vision of having insurance cover for every household by 2047. And I'm very confident that it's going to happen.
I hope so. I really hope so. And we can do our part in spreading the message. And which takes me to the last question, Doc. Maybe some, 4 or 5 or 3 points or a checklist that you would tell people while they're choosing a health insurance policy. There's still a lot of, vagueness, doubt that is there from our side, from the customer side. Whenever they see a health insurance policy, usually they have an advisor. The advisor, tries to cut some corners here and there, smoking, acha, don't say smoking, drinking, etc., etc. It's some, a few pointers, maybe a checklist that when you are filling the policy proposal form, okay, what should you do and what should you look out for that, okay, your policy should cover 1, 2, 3, 4 things. So just let's end our episode on that.
Fine. So people should not look at insurance cover after they go to a hospital.
Okay.
They should think about it when they are all right. And when they want to choose the product, look at a company which can offer the good services. A company which has a network of hospitals across the country. A company which has a scale and reach. So that, I have a comfort. I'm from a rural area. I know this company has a station here. So I can reach the people and, get the best of services. And most important of all, people should, you have been mentioning that rightfully, people should study the policy terms, which is very difficult, very easy to say, very difficult for a common man to understand because insurance products are not simple. They are sort of complex. So I should ask the right question to anyone who advises me. Number one, if I am taking an insurance cover for me and my family for protection, what is the basic sum insured? 5 lakhs minimum. In a metro, 10 lakhs sum insured. Okay. Is this product has any waiting time? Do I have coverage from day one? Is there any restriction on the room rents? Can I choose any accommodation that I wanted? Do I have to pay some 30% or 50% of the bill or 20% of the bill? Copay, what we call as copay. And if we look at some procedures, for a particular procedure, is there any sublimit? Because, very difficult to compare two insurance products. You may say a product is $10, another is around $8. I may think 8 is cheaper, but 8 may have a sublimit or a copay, whereas 10 will allow open payment. So I have to study all these policy terms and conditions. So most important is the waiting period. What are the conditions for which there is a standard exclusion and a waiting period? What is a copay or sublimit? Is there anything? And do this company have hospitals empaneled across the country, and will I be guaranteed of good services? What is the claims experience? For example, in Star, I can say that close to 90 lakh claims. I can proudly say that 90 lakh claims have been handled and settled by Star. So that's a rich experience that we carry, and that experience should only teach me and all my colleagues and my employees in Star that we should still continue to focus, because our mantra is customer centric. And whatever can give the best of the customer experience, how to identify a genuine customer and a genuine claim, and how to make it 100% satisfactory. That is what we are working towards.
Yeah. And you should be honest, I guess, when you're filling up the form. Don't do any of this, hide things here and there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be very, very straightforward in disclosing whatever medical conditions you have.
Yeah. And of course, be healthy. Stay healthy. Looking at you, you're a doctor and you're in really good health, touch wood, of course. Folks, I guess that is...
God bless.
God bless indeed, and God bless all our listeners and touch wood. And that is a wrap on this episode of Paisa Vaisa. My guest, Dr. S. Prakash, Managing Director, Star Health and Allied Insurance Doctor. Doc, thank you so much for doing this for our listeners.
Good luck. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doc. And listeners, thank you for listening to this episode of Paisa Vaisa. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm your host, Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter. And thank you, folks. Really, thank you so much for listening to Paisa Vaisa.
No material on the show should be considered as financial advice. The material on the show is for informational purposes only. Please consult a financial advisor before taking any investment decision.